And we are back with another great episode of Bluegrass Soccercast, your home for all things soccer content right here in the beautiful Commonwealth of Kentucky. I'm your host, Mr. Jimmie. That's Mr. Jon. Jon, how we doing today, sir?
I'm good, Jimmy. How are you?
I'm good. Are your allergies killing you as much as mine are killing me?
They're starting to.
I feel that. Today is Eclipse Day. Did you get to see the eclipse, Jon?
No, it was cloudy here. I could
Uh,
not really see it at all.
I got to see it for like 2 or 3 seconds. We had one pair of glasses for our whole office of like 5 people. So we were just like passing it around for just a few seconds before the clouds overtook it here as well. But it was kind of cool. I think we were in Bowling Green here. We were in like the 90 percentile. I thought it was pretty cool.
It's cool, but it's been seen 1,000 times.
Yeah. Well, kind of. The next one, I think, in totality, like this, to Hank Green, Hank Green, John Green. I don't know, the one that does SciShow. He had a video about it where I think the next one that'll fully encompass the lower 48 won't be until 2099. So I don't know if I'll be here for that one. Uh, maybe you will. You're younger.
Maybe.
But Jon, we have a full schedule for today's episode. And before we jump into it, too, I do want to say thanks for everybody for sticking with us. I know we've had kind of a crazy schedule the last couple of weeks. We've literally all three of us have a lot of personal things going on, including myself with some upcoming travel. So you'll see me, I think the next couple of shows, I will not be in the Beige Void. I will be down in South Beach, living it up in Miami for 3 different work trips that I'm taking in consecutive weeks to Miami. So it'll be very exciting to do a road show, but dear God, I hope the hotel Wi Fi is good. Though it can't be much worse than my own.
That's true.
But Jon, let's go on and jump on into things. And speaking of caliente, Lou City, they are absolutely on fire. And we have 2 different matchups from the last week that or last couple weeks that I want to talk about. One was that amazing 5-0 victory over the Birmingham Legion. And folks, let's just say Lou City did not take Birmingham lightly. They went into that matchup definitely knowing what was ahead of them in the game with Indy, and they showed absolute no remorse, no care at all for the Birmingham players. And that's exactly what I wanted to see from them. Wilson Harris scoring 2 goals in that game, Morris scoring a goal, Serrano scoring a goal. It was just banger after banger after banger. Jon, before we jump to the game with Indy, what were your thoughts on the matchup with Birmingham?
I mean, Birmingham, it was just like a rolling uh, of them. It caused like alarm bells to start ringing for Legion fans.
Oh,
With how
yeah.
like dominant of a performance it was. Um, but it's like to tie it into the indie game, it's par for the course for them
Right.
right now. I think Birmingham is like right now, a mid-table team, and they rolled through them. Where Indy is a little higher up the table and a little more competitive team, and Indy kind of had them on their toes a little bit, not all the way, but a little bit,
A
little
little
bit.
bit. Yeah, I'll give you that. A little bit. Yeah.
Um, but it's just I think this plays into the fact of Harris having a insane career year.
Yes.
Um, he's like this is I don't he's young and like this is an MLS. He could jump to the MLS in the
You're
summer
coming around to my side. That's where I have been.
type
I
deal.
I don't know
I'm saying in the
why
summer
he's
he
not.
could jump in the summer
Yeah,
if
he
he
absolutely could. I
Um,
I think the article with the indie matchup, I talked a little bit about that, but we'll get there in a second.
I think just in general, it's the fact of this is a new Blue City team, like
Yep.
completely new. You have Sean Toach, who's kind
Hmm.
of the guy. You could say old guard a bit, but then
Niall
that's
McCabe as well.
yeah. Sorry, I forget about him.
It's okay. He doesn't play a whole lot this year so far.
Well, that's
Sorry,
why
Niall.
I forget. But you have two guys of the old guard, one that's like a feature still, and one
Yeah.
that's in the 18, but not maybe not playing, and then it's new guys. It's like they are. For me, this is a proper transition of Coach Cruz going, okay, we're gonna do what works.
Yep.
Like we're gonna get back to being Lou City of old with new people.
And that's exactly what I said as well. Lou City is back, and the rest of the USL champion is on full alert after the 5-0 win over Birmingham. Um, there was something for Birmingham that I wanted to point out, and I can't find it. Oh, no, we already covered it. Never mind. But jumping now to the indie game, which is the highlights that we are watching here. Um, Harris does it again. A hat trick on CBS. The CBS, not CBS Sports, where they're going to play tomorrow. We'll talk about that here in a minute. On network television. John, this was, in my house at least, must watch TV. I think I talked a little bit in the article. My mother in law was over and she was interested in it. My wife was interested in it. This was a huge deal for us and for seemingly most of the people in the Commonwealth. I have not yet seen the numbers, like the TV numbers. Have you seen them yet, John?
I have not either. But let me see
Yeah, I
what I.
didn't know if they got released yet. But while John is looking that up, if you didn't get a chance to watch it, Wilson Harris scores a hat trick on the debut here, and Lou City put on an absolute thriller of a show, 5-3 over Indy 11, and it was just pure magic on the TV. Also, shout out to Jansen Wilson, friend of the show, local hero Elijah Winder, both of them getting on the score sheet along with Harris in this matchup. Jansen scoring his first professional goal, and fun fact here, with the goal, Jansen Wilson is now the only Kentucky native to score in high school, college, semi-professional, and professional in the state of Kentucky. So, John, what did you think of
As
this
like a
indie game? Yeah,
pro
playing
for
for
a
a
Kentucky team.
Kentucky-based team.
Okay. Uh, he did good. He's been balling out for Lou City as of late. Um, he did, really, really good in my opinion.
He did. Jansen did maybe have picked up a small injury not far after he scored the goal there. He kind of went down awkwardly, was down for a few moments, but popped up and played the rest of the first half, played the majority of the second half before getting subbed off. So I don't think that was too much of an issue for him or for the rest of the team moving forward. John, thoughts on the dazzling performance that Lou City put in against Indy?
It was stellar. I'm very curious with this game if it was just a matter of the emotions and stuff that got into it because there was times where the defense was a little questionable.
They
Um,
were.
but I don't know if it's just a moment of the game for Indy as well or that sort of thing. But it's just the perfect game. It was a chaos game. But Indy was still in control for most of it. Not Indy. Lou City was still in control for most of it. They still dominated, in my opinion. So it was like a perfect game for Lou City fans. And I even think Indy fans would have been okay with it.
Yeah, Indy fans especially will be excited from Jack Blake's performance, scoring twice against Lou City. And I think that kind of points to your main topic there, John, of talking about the defense was a little skeptical at times, but Blake is also a prolific scorer at this level. So it's not like he's, Joe Schmo out there scoring 2 goals. He is a really talented player. Also, that sentence is terrible to say because I hate everything Indy, all sports. So you're welcome, Jack. Oops. John, when you are thinking about what will come from this match, what do you think moving forward Lou City will need to take from this match heading into what should be a very busy schedule for them moving forward?
They just need to keep the momentum rolling.
But
Don't
how do they do
let
that?
stay the course. Keep doing what they're doing.
It,
Don't.
it would seem
What I'm worried
impossible.
about. What I am worried about is the build up to this match,
Mm-hmm.
like, and the match like popping a balloon.
Yeah.
Like it was this whole build up, like me being good form. All right, we've hit this peak. Can
Mm-hmm.
you keep it going, or is this like you're gonna have a slight dip in form for a minute?
Yeah. I think that's a real thing to think about because yes, they do continue on with Tuesday's game versus Charleston on the road, but also a big debut on TV, right, on cable TV on CBS Sports Network for the USL this season, right? Can they keep this
No,
momentum going?
I don't think it's the first CBS Sports one.
Is it not?
Is it? I honestly
I
don't
thought
know.
for this season it was.
I don't recall if it is the first one for this season on CBS Sports Network or not.
Well,
I honestly.
irregardless, another network TV game, right?
Mhm.
Short
The one that
turnaround.
no one has.
Do what? Oh yeah, I
No
don't
one
have it.
has
No,
CBS Sports.
and it sucks, right? Like, okay, this is outside of soccer talk for just a second. I'm a huge college football fan, and Western Kentucky, where I live, and Northern Illinois, where I went to grad school, both of them play a lot of games on CBS Sports Network, and I can't watch any of them. And it's been that way for years, and it's just really annoying. Anyways, I guess that's why I should get Paramount Plus, huh?
Yes, you should.
But heading into this Tuesday match, it will be their second out of four in a 16-day stretch. This time traveling to Charleston. And John, we all know Charleston, no joke, defending Eastern Conference champions. They are also undefeated at 2 wins, 3 draws, no losses, 9 points, not far behind Blue City in the standings. Um, I think this could go one of two ways, right? Like Lou City can come in with revenge on their mind and keep that fire going, or there could be a hitch in the giddy up here, and we could see Lou City stumble again at Charleston. John, how do you see this match going this weekend
I think given the
or
emotions,
Tuesday? Sorry, I said this weekend,
yeah,
but it's on Tuesday.
yeah, it's tomorrow night. Given the emotions and of this past weekend, the quick turnaround, all that type jazz, I see this more coming out as like a draw
Mm-hmm.
type deal. It's not to the like saying that Lucy is gonna like stumble or that type of thing. I think it's just like they might not have all the energy. They could. I mean, they're professionals and they should have the other energy, but it's like a mental type energy. It might not all be there still.
Yeah, and I'm going to be very interested to get the to fully dive into who plays and how much they will play for Lou City in this Tuesday match because the starting 11 is identical. There are no changes to the starting 11 that I have seen for this Tuesday night match from what they had against Indy. So,
Did
are
they
the
release the
players?
starting 11?
I thought I had seen that. Let me see if
There's
I
no
can
way
find
they
it.
released it a day before the game.
Maybe I saw something else. I'll have to look here in just a moment. But let's say they don't. Let's say they don't make any of the changes to the starting lineup. I think that could be very interesting for Coach Cruz to see how long they will all stay out there, because they do have a little bit of a break before the next matchup in the Open Cup next Tuesday. But Saturday to Tuesday, that's a really quick turnaround.
Yes.
Obviously, for the guys, they're just going to be relaxing, taking it easy on Sunday and today. I'm sure they came in for, the basic. What's what I'm looking for?
They're not. They would have traveled today.
Yeah, you're right, because they're not traveling day of the game. Yeah.
So
Mm.
I don't know if I personally would have traveled yesterday.
Day after the
Personally,
game.
because it's your day off
Mm-hmm.
and that type of stuff. And I would have like, all right, boys, let's just travel and then maybe do something where they leave a little later than normal. I don't know like how early they tend to leave, but let's leave maybe midday type thing, sleep in, whatever. Let's
Yeah.
travel down, get all that stuff out of the way. You guys have the night in Charleston, and then we can do Monday's typical stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. I understand why you would say that, because then you could do treatment and stuff like that from the road. But these guys, I mean, I don't think Blue City is traveling private. I think I told the story a couple of weeks ago
I don't even think
where,
the NWSL travels private.
yeah, no, I don't think so either.
You got
Um,
like people don't realize you gotta have a lot of money to charter a whole plane.
a plane that big, yeah.
Well, it's not that big. Yeah, I would say
What,
for
25, 30 people?
that's about the NBA size. Like that's on the cheaper end
Yeah.
of things, but it's a whole lot of money to charter a flight, paying for a crew and all that type of stuff to fly just your team.
Hmm. Yeah, it's really expensive. Without going into way too much detail of why or how I know this information, because it just relates to my job. But I have looked at the prices of doing a private charter, and it's like, for like a 5-seater plane, it's like $3,000 an hour, and that's on like a cheap budget charter, private charter airline. Now, if you're flying like wheels up and you've got, like we mentioned, 25, 30 people, I mean, it's easily probably 10 grand, 15 grand, depending on how long your flight is. So, yeah, that adds up quickly. And especially for these, they are a little bit smaller than the MLS clubs. That would eat up a lot of your budget when it comes to that. You could also buy a commercial plane, but that is also very expensive. And you have to maintain it. You have to buy the fuel. You have to have pilots on hand and liability insurance. I don't know. So they're flying with the public. That's the long and the short of it. So I guess we could have looked beforehand at like flights from Louisville to Charleston to see which one they could have been on. But
There's probably some sicko that does that.
hey, please drop it into the chat. I would love kind of things just because I find it fascinating to see who's flying when and where. But John, I will close out our talk here with the upcoming match with Lou City and Charleston with just a couple of things to keep in mind. Last 5 matches, Lou City has only managed one win against Charleston, but they do have 3 draws. And yes, of course, that painful Eastern Conference loss to them. Despite outscoring Charleston so far this season 14-7, they've actually given up twice as many goals as Charleston, with a 4-2 advantage for Charleston in that area. So I think on paper, this is just about as even as it can be. I agree with your assessment, John. I think this has the 1-1, maybe 2-2 draw idea written all over it. I think I would put in final score 1-1 draw for Lou City and Charleston. Any final thoughts on that one, John?
I'm kind of with you in that boat that it's going to be like a draw due to just the travel and the quick turnaround and all that type of stuff and the energy. It's going to be like a 1-1 draw type thing. I would be very surprised if it is a high scoring affair.
Absolutely. We're on the same page. John, let's stick and stay in Louisville, and let's talk about Racing Louisville. They were off this most recent weekend, but the previous weekend, they
The
did play.
same old, same old.
What you mean, the same old, same old?
Kanu gets a brace in like 20 minutes, and then they give up 2 goals. I think it was within the 80s.
Yeah, they were pretty late. I think I have
I
the
have
numbers in here.
so many questions here.
Let's
Like, is
go.
it
Let's
just
shoot 'em.
is it the defense? Is like can the defense just not withstand a full 90 and that they're just crumbling? Is Lund not able to withstand the full net? I just have so many questions of how you can have a 2 goal lead as often as they do and surrender it so quickly.
Consistently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so consistently, and it's always so quick.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not give up 1 goal, 40 minutes later, give up the equalizer. It's typically like within 20 minutes of each other.
Yeah, like it's not even close. Um, it's not necessarily. I don't know, John. Like I think it is. It falls mostly on the defense, which got a little bit worse after that game with Ellie um, pick a. Mm-hmm, there's a U in there that's throwing my dyslexic brain off. Pick a Jamesa. Yeah, I butchered it. I'm sorry, Ellie. With her getting injured in that match, only is going to make this back line more suspect and it will continue to allow more goals going in for the opponents of Racing. Ellie picked up I think it was a knee injury, if I'm not mistaken. And she is
Something
out
with
for
her
the,
leg.
yeah, yeah, knee injury suffered with a collision with a Portland player. Will be out the rest of this season with hopes to return next season. So the defense isn't getting any better, and I'm quickly glancing for any news. Kristen Wright also being added to the 45-day injury list. Kristen obviously being a forward, but the depth of Racing is getting challenged very early on in this season. And John, I don't have a good answer for you, man, for why they keep giving up these goals. Kanu keeps looking great, getting her first professional goal of the season. Just, it's baffling. It's baffling. Um, when you're kind of thinking about another draw here for Racing, they're not too far outside of the playoffs yet, but from contention, but they're not anywhere near the top tier, which they thought they would be at the start of the season. I don't think it's way too early to start panicking for any of this. I mean, Racing's only played what 3-4 games at this point, right? So it's way too early to start panicking. But I think there are some questions that we need to start asking as fans of Racing of what is going on with the back line. I don't personally think, John, it's anything to do with Lund. I think it's the back line.
What specifically of the back line?
Well, they keep getting out of position a couple of different times. From some of the highlights here that you'll see, I believe it was the second one, but it could have been the first one that Portland scored. They were just kind of all out of sorts, out of position, and you just can't do that against a powerful team like Portland. While they may be slightly down right now, they're still a high quality organization that you have to take serious. And yeah, let's also not mix things up here. A draw in Portland for Racing, very good. Like, very, very good result. But with a team that has aspirations for the playoffs, you can't be getting a draw in Portland when you're up 2-0.
True. But Portland's a crazy good team right now.
They're okay. For this year, they started okay so far. It's not the traditional powerhouse that they have been, but it's not far off either.
True. Oi.
You all right there?
I You ever have like a sinus headache where you can't think?
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. I
That's
have those
my
all the
head
time.
right now.
Um, looking ahead, or before we look ahead, John, any final thoughts on the third match of the season at Portland before we start talking about this match with San Diego on Saturday?
Nothing that comes to mind personally. No.
Yeah. Suspect back line after suspect back line. We'll see what happens. But they do get another chance this weekend hosting the San Diego Wave Saturday at Lynn Family Stadium. Racing Louisville has gone four straight matches without a victory over San Diego. They drew two of those, lost one last October. I believe that was in San Diego for that one. But coming into this matchup, you've got some huge, huge names coming in. Alex Morgan, just to name the top scorer, or not the top assist leader for the team in San Diego. You've also got Sophia Jacobson and Emily Van Ingelmund. God, I'm awful with these names. I'm sorry. Um, Also with Alex Morgan, all tied with one goal for San Diego. But you've got Kanu, who's got three. You've got Blair, who's got one. Riley Turner, who has been knocking on the door. So I don't know what they're waiting for in Louisville, but it's time to start getting a victory. John, do you think Racing has what it takes to get that first victory this weekend at home against the San Diego Wave?
I do think they have what it takes. It's a matter of can they do it?
Can they
Because
finish?
genuinely, can they? Is it the thing that they need to go a goal down to win? Like, what's the case? Like,
Yeah.
clearly they can't be comfortable. Is it a case that if they get a goal lead that like they shouldn't get two because they seem to draw anytime they have a 2 goal lead.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they should just score a goal and park the bus.
Yeah, I think they should just get up one or two goals, which I think they can. I think they can get up one for sure on San Diego. I don't know if they can pull off two in that matchup. And here's
Doesn't
where I was
matter.
talking earlier about
Go up one, park the bus.
right over. They just showed it a minute ago. Was where I was talking about. There was a Racing Louisville player out of position, gets pulled in to the action, and then they play the pass behind and goal. But yes, I agree with you, John. Let's get one and then just hit the brakes and see what happens from there. I think this match has 2-1 Racing written on it, but maybe I'm being over excited from Blue City, and it won't work out to be where Racing can get some of that energy that was left in the building from the Indy Lou City game from this past weekend. John, do you have any kind of a prediction?
I'm saying 1-0 Racing. Because Racing needs to go
1-0.
up a goal and park the bus.
We'll see if Coach Bev is a fan of parking the bus.
At this
But
point, it's
John,
what needs to happen.
yeah, something's got to happen. Speaking of things that need to happen, John, what in the world is going on with Lexington Sporting Club, tying the longest club's losing streak as this season is just underway here? They fell on Saturday night 3-0 to South Georgia Tormenta to move to 1-1-3 on the season. keeping them in sixth place with only 4 points on the table. John, this is not where we thought Lexington would be this season. What in the world is going on?
Uh, primarily, I put this in my write up. I think it's down to chemistry issues. We have not had through 6 matches. Granted, one of those was the Open Cup game, so you can kind of
Yeah,
toss
but
that
that's
out.
not you. Your coach came on here and said we're going for 4 titles. I don't want to hear anything about Lex. Oh, it was just the Open Cup. No, that was something important to the coach and to those players, and they
I'm
did not
saying
show up.
line up wise,
Yeah,
we're
they put a
gonna
terrible lineup out there against Vermont. I'm not over it,
they,
fans. I'm
they
not
did
over it.
they did not put out a terrible lineup. They put out a
You started
like
a third
a
string goalie.
he was our second string.
Should have been fourth.
He is our third string now, but he was our second string. And I'm just saying, Lou City's not going to put out their top team next week. You're going to see. That's what I'm saying. The Open Cup, so it was expected that we wouldn't have the same starting 11 all 6 matches.
Mm-hmm.
However, through the league games, we have not had the same starting 11 at all. And granted, between NoCo and Chattanooga, there was only one change of moving, putting in Onan instead of Brown. And we lost Yankum for a few matches. Knight didn't play in this match because he was serving red card suspension. Um,
Which is something
Chica
to note from the match. Like that does take away from the depth. Yes, I will give you that.
Chica made his debut. He did okay. It's chemistry. It literally comes down to chemistry. It's so. I think the issue is that this team is so talented. But they don't know what to do with each other. They don't. There's not this chemistry, and our back line I think was developing some chemistry, and then I kind of don't agree with this. Powell swapped out our weaker side or the stronger side of the back line, switching Fox and Corrales for Chica and Patti. Versus,
Why did he do that? Because I also
I'm
noticed that
not
too.
sure.
Like that doesn't make any
I'm
sense. That was a strong point of the team. Why are we making changes, coach?
I'm not. Well, it could have been because of how the Greenville match go. Our back line kind of crumbled during that match. Mendez played great. My questions surround more Lou Young. Right now, he tends to get beat a lot, um, but it's chemistry, and then there's seems to at least in this match. Uh, I don't know if it was just an off day for the whole team, but there seems to be a lack of urgency sometimes when they play of wanting to get a goal and try to get back into it. That was different from last year. It seemed to always want to be getting a goal.
And with
Now,
Lancaster and
Tormenta is
Cano, you would think that they would have that urgency to get those goals.
Lancaster. Like I said, he's playing well. I've said before, Lancaster is showing this drive, but he's showing like he wants to be the hero, and he's not willing to dish it off.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's just figuring it out type deal. We were also missing Diouf in this one, who was hurt. I don't know how bad he was hurt. He just left last match with an injury, so it could have just been a precaution that he wasn't in this match. Um, we'll see. I'm very curious how we do against Spokane
Mm-hmm.
this coming weekend because this thing, Tormenta is a lot better than people want to believe. They rebuilt well, it appears. Fort Parker has been standing on his head for that squad. Um, it seems they really just got caught off guard by Fuego in that first match because Fuego doesn't look that good anymore, but Fuego's depleted. Like they had 4 guys on their bench for their
Jeez.
Open Cup game. Yeah, they are like depleted with injuries.
I don't
Um,
think I realized they were that bad.
Spokane's, I will say, is an interesting one because Spokane looks great at home.
Mm-hmm.
They have yet to win on the road. So we'll see with them coming into our game. But there's a part of me that's also in this weird superstition thing because we have never won a game wearing white ever. We are 0-3-10 wearing white. And the ref in this match, though I think overall he called a good game. Lex only I got 2 yellows, so I don't have an issue with the ref in this match. But the ref in this match was the same ref for when we lost 5-1 to Torrent.
Mm.
So
And funny you mentioned that.
I'm not saying like I'm super like I'm not saying it's the ref's fault. They're like
Hmm.
anything about the ref.
Right.
It's just like the last time this guy refed a game between Lexington and Tormenta, it was a very bad game for Lexington.
Yeah, and it's I'm glad you brought up that 5-1 defeat because this is now 2 matches in a row between these two teams, 8-1 on the score line. Like I don't know if
The
Tormenta just has the presence
the
that knocks Lexington over or what, but that is a lot of goals in 2 games.
the 5-1 game was just weird. It was just one of those weird games where like everything was going in for Tormenta
Hmm.
type deal. This match is weird because Tormenta's first it this was one that like we couldn't develop an attack,
Hmm.
Lex. And I don't understand why fully. I don't know if it's a backline issues. It seemed like any we couldn't get anything going at all. Like we had I wasn't able to like watch this match. But it was like anything I seen, it was just like nothing was going. Like we weren't able to build up any sort of real threat. And especially after we went down 2 goals.
Yeah. When you're down 2, it seemed like the team just kind of folded, and then the third one went in. Um, I can't remember. Was it the 60 minute when the last one
It
went
was
in?
in the 81st.
81st. I have dyscalculia. Leave me alone. Uh, but my biggest question for you, John, is that's 4 losses in a row, right? At Vermont, at Knoxville, at home to Greenville, and then on the road at South Georgia. So going into this matchup on the road, it's on the road, right? At Spokane, or is it at Spokane at home?
It's at home against Spokane.
Okay, I
They
misread that.
just announced the kickoff change from 7 p.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday.
I do see that. Hmm. Do you know why?
My guess is just moving it up. Like playing a late Sunday game is kind of dumb.
Yeah, fair point. I don't really have anything else to add to that. To your credit, and I think you mentioned this earlier, Spokane only has one road victory so far this season, and that was in the Open Cup, right? Against Ballard
Yes,
FC.
they've
So,
lost both of their league away matches.
mhm. So it is a prime opportunity for Lexington to stir up the echoes and to get a victory.
Well,
However,
if it helps, the last time we lost 4 in a row, the next match we 3-0 blanked Omaha. So
well, I was going to say something different, but now I'm going to change my mind on that. I think they will stir up the echoes. I'm going to go 1-0 to Lexington in this match. John, what is your prediction on that match?
I'm thinking 2-1 just because Spokane, yes, has been good, but they are not an offensive power like at
Mm-hmm.
all. They've gotten like a lot of their goals have come off penalties. I don't think they've scored more than 2 goals all season. Granted, like Lexington's barely scored any goals, so I think this is going to be a defensive affair at most. But I think it still would be like a 2-1 defensive affair for Lexington. They need to win this match. This is like the Tormenta match was more of a can't lose match than half to win match. Where
Mm-hmm.
this match is a have to must win match because it is our 6th um, league match, and that's like, uh, let me do the quick math. That's nearly 30% of the league season right there.
Jesus. Already,
And
my
so,
God.
well, they've shrunk it to 22 games, and we're about to have a like break because of the Leagues Cup and all that type of stuff. So like,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be a weird season overall because one, 2/3 of the teams make the playoffs, and I still think right now Lexington is a playoff team. Um, we're still in the playoffs, sir. I still think right now Lexington is a playoff team or has the capabilities of being it. It's a matter of clicking like sooner rather than later. I do think these lost points will come back to bite us in terms of like maybe home field advantage. I don't think we're gonna win the Shield now,
No,
but
that's
um,
two trophies you're not going to win this year.
we'll see what can happen. But like as much as like Union Omaha fans are talking, they've played one league match, and that's because of the Red Wolves mismanaging grass and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, what
But
happened with that? I saw a little bit on Twitter about it, and then I quickly moved on to something
so
else.
one, the Red Wolf Stadium is being built for like the past 5 years.
It's total a
Um,
dollar sign. The Sad
uh,
Wolves.
but I guess they did not. They're using like Bermuda grass or whatever, and I guess it took forever for it to seed. That's why they played their Open Cup game at a high school that they hosted. Um, but it was like something where like the winter was colder in Chattanooga than planned.
Oh, boohoo, Chattanooga.
So the grass is not ready. It rescheduled two matches, but and like Omaha still looked very good, and I still think they're gonna be top dog. But we don't like Lex has played 5 league matches. Omaha has played one. So yes, they have 4 games in hand on us. However, they very much could end up just like us in those 4 games. Could.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they will. So we'll have to see what happens. Knoxville and Greenville are teams right now who are far and away the best right now. But Knoxville also started hot last year and fizzled
And then
out.
cooled
So I
off.
want. So I want and missed the playoffs. Knoxville at one point in time was like 2 in like June, like May or June. Granted, that was a 10-game league season versus now, or a 32-game versus a 22. So we'll see. This hot start could help them, but we'll see what happens. Like we still have 17, no, 16. I'm not sure. 16 or 17 league games. So we still have plenty of games to like get in that conversation if other teams also stumble. But it's not like it's in our graphs. It's more like we have to get it back in our graphs if we want the Shield at all.
Yeah, and I think heading
Like
into
we're
this
only
matchup,
5 points off of first or 6.
so yeah, one more win puts you halfway closer, kind of, depending on other results, right? I think to me, John, this is an absolute must win versus Spokane.
Yeah, if we get a win, we go from 6th to third,
Right.
depending on the other results. But
You level back out a little bit more, right?
yeah,
And especially heading into this break, well, kind of pseudo break when you're playing just the League One Cup matches against Madison, Fuego, and Red Wolves over the next month. Basically, you have three matches after this one before June. June 1st would be the fourth match. So you've got a lot of time. Get healthy, get the team right, but you've got to start it out with a victory versus Spokane at home this Sunday. But, John, with that, we will now switch on down to the UPSL, where we will start at first with a little bit of a surprise, in my opinion, John. Southern Indiana FC, we had them on the show and we knew that they were taking this very seriously. If you're following them on social media, you notice how many sponsors they are bringing in and how much community engagement they are doing and how they are genuinely really trying to be this team of Southern Indiana, right? But I didn't know how that would translate onto the field. Thought they'd be good, but I didn't know how good. In their first match, they opened their season on the road down here in Bowling Green against FK Han, and my lord, did they put on a show against FK Han. FK Han, full of some former pros, some younger guys, and Southern Indiana just bopped them on the head over and over again. Final score in that one was 4-1, but that was nothing in comparison to what Southern Indiana did this past weekend against Chattanooga United. Their home opener, 7-0. Southern Indiana is legit, and they are absolutely a massive contender for the title this year in the Kentucky Tennessee Conference. John, did you have a chance to see any of Southern Indiana's matches over the last couple of weeks?
I've watched a few highlights. Let's
Yeah.
hump the brakes. Just a tiny bit.
On
Tiny,
what?
tiny little bit. Because this is the UPSL.
Don't,
No
don't
offense,
belittle the
FK Hans.
UPSL.
No offense, FK Hans. They're not a top dog from what
No,
I've
they're
seen
not.
of them. So blasting them isn't. No offense, Chattanooga United. They're not a top dog.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Neither team is going to be a top
What
dog
I'm
by the time
saying
it's
with
over.
this is the UPSL is the UPSL is insane in terms of the depth of teams. You can have great teams like Southern Indiana, like Bowling Green, kind of.
We'll get to them last. I've got a rant
They're
ready
like shaky
at
right now.
best.
You know, I'm pretty sure UPSL team is had an upset in the Open Cup. You have the is it Miami United?
Yes, they
No,
are one.
South Carolina United,
Yeah,
Heat
the
United.
Heat. Mm-hmm.
You have these teams that are great in quality, and then you have teams like, no offense, FK Hans, uh, the Bowling Green Leopards team. Uh,
Whoa, hey, the Leopards. That was the second team I was going to talk about. Surprising. They are undefeated. Hold on now. I'll let you make your
questionably
point, but I'll
undefeated.
come back to that.
But there's more like questions about them, I would say, in terms of like how they're run, if they're gonna
Yeah.
make it to the end of the season, that sort of thing, versus Southern Indiana, which like is just rolling in the dough right now.
Apparently so. They've got some former Metro Louisville players on the squad. They've got some former um, other UPSL clubs that have kind of folded over the last couple of years on the squad. So they've got a lot of experience. They've got this great deal with the ISN network to broadcast their games. It looks real high quality. The field that they're at looks quality. The fan engagement seems really high. And overall, I've just been thoroughly impressed with Southern Indiana. Um, right now, if I was doing some power rankings, I would put Southern Indiana at second. But that's just because I'm waiting to see what they do against some stiffer competition, such as Tennessee Tempo and some, maybe Bowling Green, but well, they're third on my list here. The second team that I want to talk about is just absolutely blowing my mind right now, and that is FC Leopards. FC Leopards. I did not know where they would finish, how they would do this year. I was really curious to see about how they would be able to fund a squad this year and keep competing. And my goodness, they have put the league on notice by starting out 3-0, a 1-0 victory at home versus Chattanooga United, which, again, we just saw Southern Indiana spank 7-0, so maybe that's not as impressive as a win. They then went down to Georgia, and they were looking for some points to steal, and by God, they sure did. They beat Paul DePay 3-0 in Paul DePay's home opener. And then the big one, the first of the Inter Bowling Green uh, Derby. Uh, they beat Bowling Green FC 2-1 on what was an absolutely electric night in Bowling Green. This was by far the most fans I've seen at any game in this city, and this is by far the most energetic fandom I have seen in any of the UPSL cities or stadiums that I have seen. It was absolutely phenomenal, and BGFC absolutely laid an egg in this game. They could not finish. They couldn't get the ball across half court or half field. Sorry, I got basketball in the brain. Um, it was just not the quality and the class that you would expect from a BGFC side that had a week off to prepare, and they just rolled into this match across town expecting to blast the Leopards. And the Leopards took that personally. They trained all season. I talked about it in the article that's up on our website at www.bgsc.show. I talked about it in that article. Their secretary, Secretary General, was who I was talking to before and after the match. He said this was their night. This was the match that they wanted because for so long in this community, right? BGFC has been like the beacon, like the golden goose, the team that everybody wanted to play for. And I knew FK Han and Leopards were coming to take a shine off of the Golden Lions. And by golly, FC Leopards did it. And they looked the better side. Yes, BGFC may have some of the bigger names, your Michael Swerkos, your Josh Head, your Oliver Gonzalez in goal. But Leopards looked the better team. They were more energetic. They were more aggressive. They pushed the tempo more in that match. They controlled the ball the entire game. And I was just overall thoroughly impressed with Leopards, with what they've got going on here in this town. They have completely galvanized an entire community down here. And I really tip my hat to them because that was a show. And BGFC, sorry guys, you were on the wrong end of history on that night. John, did you have a chance to see any of the highlights from that match or anything from Leopards so far this season?
Like I said, Leopards has looked good. They looked very good against BGFC, who also blasted a team 7-0 for their
They did. Paul
first
DePay.
game of the season. So here's the thing. This is why I'm very curious about if Bowling Green went into this kind of like Goliath type thing. Oh, this is going to be a cakewalk. And they were
Oh,
just caught
absolutely.
way off guard. My only thing with Leopards, can they keep it going? Can't
Great point.
like does the underestimate, like being underestimated, how long does that last? And then when people are like, all right, you're good with this, when we're going to start actually prepping for you. I don't know necessarily how UPSL teams operate per se in training and that type of thing. All right, we're going to start prepping and doing all this stuff and film studying you. Can they keep it going then? Or are they just banking on being underestimated and overlooked?
And I think they've got a great test coming up in, let's see, they've got a couple of weeks off here. Their next match isn't until the 20th, where they head down to Murfreesboro to take on PCDA or Pre College Developmental Academy. That will be a true test. That will determine really if they can win that game, and I think they can, but it's going to be close. I'm thinking 1-0 kind of a situation. If they can get that one heading into a pivotal 2 weeks, home versus Southern Indiana, on the road at Tennessee Tempo. These next 3 games will determine where FC Leopards will finish the season. And I think they're going to knock off PCDA, pretty much locking themselves into the playoffs this early in the season. And then it'll be up to their matchup against Southern Indiana and Tennessee Tempo to see, can they host a playoff game, which, John, I can't tell you how shocked I am that sentence is coming out of my mind or out of my mouth. But to answer your question from a little bit ago, yeah, BGFC came in cocky. They thought they were the better team. There was a lot of infighting that was happening on the sideline, especially with Josh Head. He was screaming at coaches, screaming at other players, get me the ball, get me the effing ball, and just was overall not a good look for the Golden Lions.
Just have to see how it shakes out. It's only 2 games.
Yeah.
For like a lot of teams.
Who, me getting overly
This
excited
is
about just a couple of
thing with
games? No.
UPS. Well, this is the thing with UPSL. What happens when the college kids start showing up? When
Right.
they
And I
start
think
rolling
BGFC
in?
will get better at that point.
Yeah. But are the Leopards a team that's going to attract college talent? Are they bringing in college talent, or is this the squad? Does Southern Indiana, who seems to
If I
have more
had
of
to
that,
guess,
the Southern Indiana, who seems to have that more lower, like, fringe pro players, are they able to keep that going when college kids step up and come in? That's my question.
yeah, if I'm thinking of the main kind of like 4 teams or so that we're looking at here in the state, right? I haven't heard anything from FK Han about them signing any college players. BGFC is definitely bringing in a couple of guys, from what they've told me. I would be surprised if Leopards brings anybody in, but they may. I mean, especially if you have an option to come back to Bowling Green if you're a young kid, or if you're in the region per se, and you have a choice. Do you go play for BGFC, who may be middle of the table, or FC Leopards, who may still be at the top of the table? That could shake things up for sure. John, a couple of other matches to note here. Southern Indiana Guardians, not to be confused with the Southern Indiana FC that we keep referring to. Them and the Midwest Hooligans, who are over in the Gateway Conference. They had a thrilling matchup last Thursday or Friday. I think it was Friday. That match went the way of the Guardians. They took the match 4-3, despite Midwest doing a really good job of trying to come back, but they unfortunately fell short in that one. And then Tennessee Tempo had a match this past weekend against FK Han, and they absolutely bludgeoned them 7-1. And I'm honestly surprised that one was scored by FK Han because of how good Tempo looked in that matchup. We'll see if the upcoming matches for either of those teams. Looking ahead here at this coming weekend, we've got on Saturday FK Han versus Tennessee. What is it? Jackson, Tennessee Boom. Tennessee Tempo are traveling down to Chattanooga United. Southern Indiana is traveling all the way down, the longest trip in the Kentucky-Tennessee Conference, from outside of Louisville to outside of Chattanooga on the Georgia side. And then you've got Midwest Hooligans hosting St. Louis Fusion. So it's another busy weekend coming up. Of the matches here, I'm most interested in that FK Han Jackson, Tennessee Boom to kind of see. I think it's been that would be probably my match to watch from this coming week. John, any thoughts on any of those upcoming matches?
You were cutting out a lot there.
I'm sorry.
You're good. I personally do not have that many, as I'm still waiting for these to see how these teams shake out. In all honesty, I'll tune in. What I'll see what freedom and free time I have on Saturday, so I'll tune in and see. Um, which ones honestly catch my eye. Probably whatever one is easiest to watch.
Yeah. I don't know if it came through or not, but the one that I was talking about was FK Han and Jackson Tennessee Boom.
Mm.
That's the one that I'm looking forward to the most. But Jon, with all of that out of the way, man, we have scorched through this show today. Any closing or final thoughts on anything we've talked about, sir?
No, I'm all good, man.
All right. Make sure you all are following us on all of your favorite social media channels, X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of those handles at BG Soccercast. Make sure you're listening to us on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. We are on Apple, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, as well as if you're interested in supporting the channel, we do have a QR code right over my shoulder here. It's for a Buy Us Coffee account. It's just a great way to support the show. We greatly appreciate any and all support from our viewers, our donors, and everyone in between. We have over 100 people watching. I just noticed that. Holy cow, this is probably our highest live count, I think, to this point. Maybe second highest. Um, so this is clearly a growing platform. We will be back next Monday, and you will see me in beautiful Miami, Florida. I will try to not rub it in too much. But as always, I'm Jimmie. That's Mr. Jon, and we will see you on the next one.